Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join us in the beautiful wild landscape of Scotland, and basically we're away to go and document an incredible bit of forgotten history at the other side of the river here. I can't even speak, and we're doing the intro right here. We need to cross this incredible stream. It's early action today folks on the video. But yeah, we're basically heading to the other side of this river. We're at the top of Glen. We just recorded the last video up at an old abandoned croft, and we spotted a secondary croft at an old building. So I'm thinking how cool it would be just to nip over there today, and we'll document it with today's video. And it is so cool exploring places that we've never been and seeing things that we've never seen. And every week it's so cool to keep going to new places and seeing them for the first time. It's just magic. Little historical wonders or historical details that's almost forgotten and hardly seen. And look at this old wall. It's probably been there for hundreds of years as well. And there's not even a main road at this side of the river. It's all just tracks, wild land. So yeah, it's cool folks. Let's get into action. So today's adventure folks, we're right at the top of Glen, and the only reason we're on this back kind of road is because in the last video we were trying to access that old croft. But I can actually see a green sign over there, like a footpath sign. So I think there's maybe tracks and paths all over this wild land. There's so much history and stuff always to be found. I think the main road is like the Tulchan and Auchavan, but it literally is down there. That's the end of the tarred road, and from then on it's just like a mud track up the hill. I'm interested to see what this sign says before we head up that direction. Looks like there's a track. There's a couple of historical wonders up here that I'm wanting to document. Oh look, the hill to Braemar, 16 miles. Scottish Rights of Way Society Limited. So over the hill, 16 miles to Braemar. Let's go folks. At the end of this video folks, I'll leave a link to my Braemar video because we were up there last summer exploring. So that's a good link for that video if you want to see Braemar and what it looks like. It's an amazing little Scottish town, or village I should say, way out in the Highlands glens. And wow, I can see massive high mountains. Behind these dark grassy mountains there's higher ones with snow. And the lands that we explore, it just blows my mind. I can see a portaloo kind of thing over there, and that must be for the forestry workers. I'm not sure if this has been freshly planted or felled. And there's even a brand new gate up here. Yeah, this looks like some ancient structure of some sort. So check this out folks, I think this is actually maybe a farm related area as well for the farm down there originally, which I think is just like a private residence nowadays, whereas at one time this may have been one of its main sheds. But the croft I'm wanting to see is actually located just a wee bit further up the hill, and it is interesting just to see this different layers of history for different times. Wow, every time I look around I'm just blown away. I'm speechless after seeing the lands around me. Yeah, what has this been? Look at the deep holes. This is interesting here folks. This is no longer just a boring little shed. It must be like a waterworks shed or whatever. That is interesting. That is super interesting folks. I've fallen into deep holes before on videos folks, and this could be one of those. I'm being super careful. Yeah, I love the old stonework with a shed like that. And we adventures like this today, we are seeing it for the first time, along with the viewers. Look at the wee tree growing out of there. The character of each individual bit is just what I love. The way the moss sometimes clings on. There's deep holes like right below here, like a channel. It could have even been something farm related, or maybe at one time they had some sort of electrical turbine or whatever. I was thinking this would be farm related as well, not unless there's been cow sheds here and that's been some sort of water filter. It is an interesting bit in the land. That's what we do on these adventures folks, we never know what we're about to see. And every place we go there's just so much madness hidden. You learn a little bit about each thing each time you explore. And it's so much fun just uncovering stuff like that. This farm further up the hill here looks so much older than what we just saw there with that little shed. And then obviously we're coming with the greatest of respect, like the landowners here. We're just wanting to document the history and get out of here basically. So check it out folks, never seen before on the channel, this little settlement here on the hill. And let's go and see what details of the history remain. There is a water supply coming down here. I think farms often use that, the fresh source of water off the hill. Wow, it looks like there's something been built further up here. Highlanders taking a second route here through the property. Wow folks, yeah, there's definitely been something built up on this river. I'm wanting to go and take a look at these buildings as well. It's funny because I'm calling it a river up here, but it's like a little stream, it's like a waterfall. Wow, check this out here folks. There's definitely been something built here, maybe to create a head of water for an old abandoned farm. Look, you can see the old walls, one of which I'm standing on just now. That's so cool to see that. So they've been controlling the water and maybe holding it back. The land will have changed so much over the hundreds of years since this was in position. Sometimes they would guide the water down towards their farm. Other times they would just keep it so they had like a bit of a dam above the farm, and literally these walls here could be related to that little shed. And it's maybe been for the water supply to the farm. So cool though folks, so interesting to see little historical details like that. The control of water back in the day of the old farming. The people that first carved these lands, cleared them of the big stones, built these old buildings. At one time some of these buildings would have had roofs, and you can imagine the wee chimney with the smoke coming out of it. Here's a Land Rover coming. Look at this here folks, it's maybe been like a little door or whatever. I'm hoping this is no the farmer. Well, obviously it is though. This is so interesting, there's just like rows of doors going in with pretty big, it's a pretty big front wall right there. So interesting to see folks. Obviously, like I say, to the farmer and the landowner, we come with the greatest respects. I'm literally just coming around here to document this. And look, there's been something cut out with this stone. It's maybe been part of the stone that used to actually be above the door originally. Wow, it is magic folks. Look at the old stone here. Some of these would never have had roofs, and often they were always dry stone constructions. Other ones would have been little sheds on the side, and it was for the sorting out and control of the livestock at the early times of farming. And that's what we love to see on the channel, all sorts of history, not only houses but old farms and old buildings. The way they used to often have water wheels or other devices for controlling the flow of water. And right here there's been something constructed in this area. Look, with a little window or the little door. So interesting folks. And then look, some scrap. I always say that on the video, it's so interesting. But sometimes when you're going around you're just mind blown by the history. Look at this section here of the floor folks, this is incredible. Look at the way it's built. It's a proper stone slab floor under here, and that shows this has most likely been a shed on this section here. The gamekeeper never stopped and started shouting with the Land Rover, so we're all good. I was a bit on edge just in case we got in trouble for kicking about, but I was just keeping the camera rolling and looking at as much history as I could. Look, here's been an old boiler. It's maybe been out of the old like wash house. Sometimes they would have an area where they could actually boil like anything in there. They would have boiling water for the washing, stuff like that. But also in the gamekeeping industry, they often have those old boilers in an area where they're doing gamekeeping, and they put loads of rabbits or whatever in there and boil them all up for the dogs. So that's another thing, that's the reason it may have been brought here at a later time. There's just so many walls here. This is a mad complex of buildings. And I'm intrigued here because this back wall, I was thinking it had a few doors in it all the way down, but look, it's just this interestingly shaped piece. It's quite narrow. It is interesting, that. I've never seen the like, folks. It takes you through to that secondary building here, which probably had a roof on it, I would think, at this section. So much layers of history has been deleted over the years, folks. As hundreds of years pass, places like this just slowly fade into non-existence. The stones on the hill just turn back to stones on the hill. Look at the thickness of this wall. It starts there and look, it goes all the way. I'm not even sure if these stones are included, but they look like they've been along the back wall of the house or the building. Potentially there could have been a fireplace at that far end. So many years has passed. Places like this, folks, it is what it is. The moss and greenery takes over. Each one of them we visit though is different in its own way. Whoa, I'm going to go out the far end of here. Sometimes if you go into a certain section of a place like this, you can't even get back out, because it would have all been individual rooms and stuff. Look how thick this wall is at the bottom. Wow. Yeah, that's so cool. I've just loved seeing everything we've seen at this place. And then that stone, it's been massive. When the Land Rover turned up, I thought that was it, like game over. But then the boy kept on going away up further up the glen, so shout out if you're watching this video and you're the gamekeeper or whatever in this area. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's more or like a bigger shooting party coming up, because they are going to boot. We saw them shooting earlier on. We were going to go to a secondary location, folks, but it was a no-go, so that's how we ended up this glen today. And it is really just the back of beyond. It's the wildest, crazy mountain landscape. You have to watch your foot doesn't go in a hole. Places like that, it looks like a normal grass path from a distance, and then one wrong move, boom, you get a wet foot. And I think that walls up there has been for the control of water related to this shed. So look at that, folks, that's what we love, the character of abandoned Scotland. History like that would have been a wee family, maybe for years and years, generations at a wee croft, running their wee bit of land, and then one day it was just no more. I think this could have been posts that was in here, not unless it is related to the water that we see at that shed, or like the waterworks up the hill. Who knows the potential, but it is a yard that I believe was a more modern farmyard. So here we are, folks, back to the River Isla, and now we're away to head down this track. This takes us to the main road. Areas like that so remote. At one time in Scotland, all the main roads would have looked like this. Mud tracks over the hill. I think the River Isla can get quite ferocious at times here, and that's the reason they've got these cement defences up the water's edge. And just take a look at that landscape, eh? It is just magical. Like when that snow's melting, you can imagine how high the river rises. All that water making its way out of the glen. And this is actually the river that flows down over the Highland waterfall. So it's quite impressive in a storm. So that's been a cool adventure today, folks. We've seen a bit of history that we had never documented before on the channel, and we've seen some scenes like this. Big mountains, big hills, but a crazy thing down here near where I've parked, there's an absolutely massive rock over there, and it's crazy to see the size of it. It's like the size of a house, and that's basically what you get up here in the wild glens. Anyway, we're just about back to the car, so I'm ending it here, folks. Thanks very much for watching. It's been a short one, but we've documented a bit of history that we had never seen before on the channel. But aye, we'll see you soon for the next one.